Hey, what's up everyone? So it's been a minute since I've made any videos, mostly work, a little bit of life, but yeah, mostly work. So it's been keeping you, me, and this camera from the addiction that we call cutlery. Anyhow, taking a look at something from Italy, and just so you guys know, I have a very strong bias towards Italy. I lived overseas in Italy for about a year and a half. So very soft spot for the Italian products. There hasn't been a lot, probably in the last year or two, that's really caught my attention, to be honest. A lot of underwhelming releases. Keep fingers crossed that maybe Lion still will release something that blows my mind. A Blade show coming up in about a month here. But anyways, that's neither here nor there for the most part. We're going to look at something from Italy, specifically Maniago, and this is somewhat convoluted, so bear with me, but last year, I think it was, at Blade Show, a collaborative effort was announced that was called Makita Knives, and Makita Knives was a coming together of Lion, Steel, Fox, Viper, and Mercury knives, all based in Maniago. There's one other maker in Maniago that's fairly large. The name escapes me. This is missing from this collaborative effort. But anyways, as they explained it, they wanted to come together, do some knife projects, and I think the main purpose, as I was told, was to really go after some of the larger, like, industrial contracts. They were looking to do some really heavy manufacturing stuff aside from just pocket knives and scissors and other things. And so that's what the collaborative effort was essentially designed for the most part. Yeah, that's what they said. So, you know, Makita Knives appeared, and now we have kind of under the same umbrella, or maybe this is the umbrella, Maniago Knife Makers. So I'm a little confused as kind of what the relationship is there. Or, you know, maybe Maniago Knife Makers is the umbrella, and then Makita makes the knives, and they'll have names of other companies that do the agricultural manufacturing type stuff. Anyways, suffice it to say, it's somewhat confusing, and I just prefer Maniago Knife Makers because it's simple, it's easy, it tells us where it's coming from. And yeah, so this is the model Arvenis. Assuming I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is a collaboration between those four companies in Italy that I mentioned, Maniago Knife Makers, and then Lucas Burnley, a very prolific custom knife maker here in the US. The guy is more of a cult leader than he is a knife maker, if you've heard of the Burnley Brawlers. Anyways, talented guy. Great designer. I hear nothing but good things about him and his knives, so more power to him. But let's open it up. We're 3 minutes in and people have already left. So let me show you guys what this ships with real quick. Here's the packaging. I believe this is the mountain range in Maniago. You already saw that. Packaging is a nice zipper pouch. It's got either, you know, Molly compatible loops or belt loops on the back. Pretty sweet. Packaging is nice, and of course we have the Italian flag all over the place. And Italians, you know, again, one of the other reasons for the collaborative effort between the companies, as they said, was to promote Maniago. You know, Maniago has been a knife making epicenter, much like Seki City, Japan, for 40 to 60 years, somewhere in that range. One of you guys can correct me, but anyways, it's a wonderful place. It looks like a wonderful place. I would love to visit someday. That is definitely on my bucket list. And I think this one was primarily manufactured by Fox Knives out of those four. Again, I'm not quite sure how it all blends together, but again, I've rambled on for too long now. One other that we'll look at in another video is the Route, a front flipper, a full-size front flipper, also designed by Lucas Burnley. And all these knives are running on bearings, and they're all using M390s. So, getting with the times, which is great. Let's look at this one in a little bit of detail, or a little bit of close-ups, and then we'll jump into the specs. So we do have some hard anodized aluminum inlays around the pivot. In the center here, the handle is G10. We've got a lot of nice rounding and sculpting. We've got a 3D milled pocket clip. There is the Makita name that I mentioned earlier. And this one does have some stainless liners inside of that nicely milled G10, red aluminum backspacer, crown spine, M390, liner lock, runs on bearings, it's a flipper. So that's what we've got here. So while I go over the specs, let's get out a couple of the usual suspects, such as the Parrot 2 and the Kershaw Dividend. So let's swap. Alright, so the blade length on this guy is about 3.3, 3.4, somewhere in that range. The handle length we are looking at is about 4.6, give or take, and about 8 inches overall. Weighs in on my scale at 4.51 ounces, so not the heaviest, but not the lightest either. Again, it is M390 steel, and it is, you know, Burnley Designs. Lucas Burnley has his own, you know, he has an Instagram for his custom knives. He also has a separate Instagram for Burnley Design, so I will try to remember to link both of those down below if you want to look at him a little bit more. But let's see here, what else do we have on the specs? Handle, it's about 1 inch thick here, and again, manufactured in Maniago. So yeah, overall, I mean, it's this, so I handled some of the Makita or Maniago knife maker knives at Blade Show last year. They may have all just been prototypes, but they weren't terribly dialed. This one is very dialed in, so actually way more impressed with it than I thought it would be, I would be, because everything seems to be fine-tuned on this one, and everything's right where it should be. So again, it's a flipper. It is very smooth, if I can show you guys that on the bearings there. Stonewash blade. Now there are quite a few versions of this. The price on this is $240. Again, made in Italy. Definitely not as cheap as China, you know. So so price range is like $240 for this one, which we'll call kind of like the base model. They have ones with carbon fiber handles. They have ones with Damasteel blades, with Damasteel inlays. So the pricing goes up to, I think, like $600 or $700 on some of the premium configurations. But certainly a heavy stonewash blade here. Love the crown spine, gives it a very premium feel. And the flipper tab has been completely rounded as well. And again, that also gives it a very premium feel. I've not slipped on it once, so it's a really well executed flipper. And I love the way that the lines here between the blade and the handle just blend perfectly, you know. I hate when you've got like a straight down plunge line and then you've got like an angled handle and it looks terribly mismatched. This one, obviously not the case. So, pivot collar, again, aluminum. Lots of nice machining on the G10, and all the G10 has been rounded as well. Again, it feels very, very polished overall. Same amount of attention is here on the pocket clip. Pocket clip works wonderfully. Hidden hardware on the pocket clip. The screws attached from the inside, and then there's a screw here. You can see that I believe holds this one in place, and then same on the back. Another screw there that should hold this one in place. And then the pocket clip, because it does ride directly on the aluminum insert, so that'll probably rub the color off there at some point, but it makes going in and out of your pocket quite a breeze. So, and it is fairly deep overall. Nice, generous lanyard hole. The back, again, everything's very rounded. It feels super premium. And this knife kind of represents to me what Italian knives should be. Huge emphasis, even though it's not designed in Italy, but huge emphasis on design, all the lines coming together perfectly. Some people said it's kind of got an automotive feel with like the red there, and you know, it evokes emotion. I mean, this is what an Italian knife should be to me. It should feel premium, and it should have amazing lines. So this is certainly my favorite of the Maniago knife makers branded or Makita branded knives so far. They've done collaborations with Lucas Burnley, and the other is Bob Terzula. But yeah, this is my favorite so far. One other detail I love is this, the jimping here on the liner lock. Very fine, very precise, again, very premium. Like they went in and they rounded, like they did the jimping. I don't know if my camera's gonna be able to hit it. They rounded it and then they went in and did the jimping. So again, it's like rounded and it's still grippy. It just, again, everything on this feels incredibly premium. A couple things though that aren't, you know, all rainbows and sunshine. The balance point is a little further back than I like. I generally love it right behind the pivot, right where the first finger goes. It's a little further back, not a make or break. And then the edge or the secondary bevel, this was sharpened by hand. You can tell like it's, you know, shorter here than here, so the secondary bevel isn't perfectly uniform throughout on both sides. So you know, again, minor qualm, but just in case. And then the other thing too is here is the edge, or the heel comes right up here to kind of the back of the knife. I've never had any problem with it. Like they didn't sharpen this thing completely. They rounded it a little bit there. But again, I have not been trying to cut myself on it. So I have no problems carrying this. I have no concerns. I do have larger hands. But if that is one of your concerns, or you have children's hands, then I don't know, perhaps be worried. But let's look at the action. Again, really smooth. It keeps bouncing back up on the bearings there. And I believe it does have the, I haven't taken apart yet, but I believe it does have the stainless steel washers, you know, separating the G10 from the bearings. So I mean, it would feel really, yeah, it has to. It would feel terrible if it was riding on the G10. So that's pretty much it. In the hand here, again, I wear an XL glove, plenty of space, a little bit of flare on the butt of the knife. So, you know, feels good, feels ergonomic. Everything's nice and polished. So aside from a few of the minor qualms there, I really like this one. It looks great. I look forward to, I don't know, future collaborations they do. Hopefully by the time I get to the video on the route here, I'll have maybe a little bit of clarification on the whole Makita versus, you know, Maniago knife makers, and, you know, if the four companies are really coming together to all machine parts on this, or if it's more of a branding collaboration. I still need more info on that, so perhaps I'll be less lazy for the next one and track that info down. Comments, questions, queries, quandaries, let me know. That's what the comment section is for. If you liked this video or hated this video, give me a thumbs up, and hopefully more content to come soon. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Take care.